Good morning 8th class students. In previous class, I explained about scientific method and I explained about process skills. In that, how to separate different shells with the help of process skills and how to identify which cloth is better for bathing purpose. So in that, I explained about first process skills: observe, compare, classify. So if you will observe which cloth is useful for bathing purpose means cotton cloth is very useful for bathing purpose. In that process, we control all variables. No, variables means the things which interfere the experiment is known as variables. And also I explained about 5 steps which involved in scientific method. That is observe and ask questions, form a hypothesis. Third one is plan an experiment. Fourth one is conduct experiment. Fifth one is draw conclusion and communicate result. Hypothesis means your opinion whether it is right or wrong. To prove this your hypothesis, you have to plan for experiment and you have to conduct experiment. After completion of experiment, if your opinion is correct means you have to explain your opinion to people. If your opinion is not correct means again you have to retry and you have to conduct another experiment to reveal what is truth. So that is scientific method steps. And also I explained science. Science is a systematized body of knowledge based on experiment. Science is a way to search the way to explore the world. Science is a tool to search the truths of nature. And also I explained about different scientists which research on different things to discover many things in science. They use the knowledge given by science and they discover many things. These things helpful to our daily life which lead a peaceful life. So now in this class I'll explain about read to learn. Reading to learn. So before that, before reading, what we have to observe, what we have to do. First one is think. Think means what you have to read in this topic. You have to think. That one. Next one is vocabulary. The words which given in that textbook you have to observe carefully. Look up word in glossary. Read the title of the section. For example, I will give one example for you that is called ecosystem. It is a topic which given, if your teacher given this topic means how to read this topic. I will explain now. Ecosystem. What remember ecosystem? Ecosystem means the place where living organisms interact with the non-living environment. For example, your classroom or your house, think, or you are in home no. So think your home is a ecosystem. In that we can find out living things and non-living things. No, living things are you only. People we are living in home, that is called living things which have life. Non-living environment. Non-living things means not here chairs, fan, all these are not non-living things. Here non-living things mean non-living environment, that is sunlight, air, water, soil, they are called non-living things. For example, if I gave one topic to you that is called ecosystem. First we have to observe the title of the section. The title of section is here ecosystem. First we have to identify what is meant by ecosystem. Ecosystem means the place where living organisms interact with the non-living environment is called ecosystem. So in that ecosystem we can find out living things which have life, non-living things which does not have life. A interaction is essential in between of living and non-living things for survival of living organisms. If you will observe ecosystem, no? Now after completion of that, this is the first one. Second one is during reading. During reading you have to observe the topics carefully. Groups of living organisms. Here if you will observe in ecosystem, we can find out different organisms, whether it is living or non-living organisms. So you have to observe carefully groups of living organisms. So if you will observe, when I give a topic for you, do you know children, nowadays so many animals and plants are vanishing from the earth, that is called extinct. Extinct means the animals or plants which vanished from the earth, known as extinct. And endemic means which animals or plants which belongs to particular region in the country is known as endemic species. Endangered, which ready to extinct, ready to vanish from the earth, known as endangered species. So during reading, you have to observe the groups of living organisms. Here, groups of living organisms means that is biotic and abiotic. Biotic means which have life. Abiotic means which does not have life. So during reading, you have to read carefully about biotic factors and abiotic factors. Biotic factors means which have life. Examples of biotic factors are plants, animals, microorganisms. So these group of the organisms which have life, so they under comes to biotic factors. Abiotic factors means which does not have life. That is called a abiotic factor, that is no life. Example, sun, air, water. So all these are called abiotic factors. In the ecosystem, every biotic factor depends on abiotic factors for survival. Without abiotic factors, we cannot survive. All living organisms cannot survive. So you at the time of reading, you have to observe the interaction. Very important, that is interaction. So here I gave one topic, that is called ecosystem. In that you have to observe the interaction between living and non-living things carefully. That is during reading. After reading, ask yourself that is what are biotic factors and what are abiotic factors. What is the relationship between biotic and abiotic factor in ecosystem? You have to ask yourself in your mind, that is after reading. So dear children, reading to learn, at the time of reading science subject, you have to observe before reading, during reading, after reading. Before reading, you have to think what you have to read, and you have to observe the vocabulary which given in your textbook, and look up words in glossary. Glossary means after completion of lesson, they give one page for you. In that you can find out glossary. In that you have to observe the words. After that, you have to read the title of section. Here, the title of section is ecosystem. Like that, you have to take any title. Here, I gave one title for you, that is ecosystem. So during reading, you have to observe you have to read carefully about ecosystem. In ecosystem, we can find out biotic and abiotic factors, living and non-living things. A interaction in between of biotic and abiotic factor we can find out in ecosystem. You have to observe carefully during reading. After completion of reading, ask some questions yourself from your mind about biotic factors. What are biotic factors? Like that you have to ask. Biotic factors means the factors which have life. Example, plants, animals, microorganisms. Abiotic factors means the things which does not have life, which interfere the life on earth, known as abiotic factors. They are sunlight, water, soil, etc. So you have to interaction essential in between of biotic and abiotic factor for survival of biotic. You have to ask like this. That is called after reading. So this is about reading to learn. Dear children, last topic in first lesson, what is science, 8th class, that is safety in science. Already I explained. Science means learning by doing. If you want to discover anything, you have to discover that thing after doing some activities, after doing some experiments. Already I explained about scientific method steps, that is observe, ask questions, form a hypothesis, plan an experiment, conduct an experiment, draw conclusion and communicate results. So if you want to discover anything in science, you have to discover that things after conducting some experiments. So already I explained, we will do experiments in science labs, and scientists will wear lab coats while doing experiments. So if you want to discover anything, you have to do that things in science labs. At that time, you have to conduct some experiments in science lab. So if you want to conduct experiments, you have to follow some safety precautions. You have to follow some safety precautions to observe, to discover anything. That is first safety precaution, that is think ahead. If you want to do any experiments, first you have to observe what you have to do in a science lab. What you have to do in a science lab, that is think ahead. You have to think what you have to do. And next one is be neat. Keep your working area clean and neat. Keep your working area clean and neat. For example, if boys have a long sleeves, means you have to roll it. Some girls have long hair. If girls have long hair, means pull it back. So these are the be neat means if boys have long sleeves, means you have to roll it. If girls have a long hair, pull back it. Next one is oops. Oops means does not eat or drink anything while doing experiments. If you will drink or eat anything at the time of experiments, the chemicals may enter into our body. Some chemicals may contain poisonous material, which leads to sometimes death of person also. So do not eat or drink. Do not eat or drink anything at the time of doing experiment, that is oops. Watch your eyes. Do you know? Sometimes we will do experiment with poisonous chemicals. So on that time you have to wear safety goggles. So this is helpful to prevent the entry of chemicals into our eyes. So when chemicals enters into the eyes, sometimes may cause blindness. So everyone should wear goggles, safety goggles, spectacles to protect yourself. Next one is egg. Egg means do not eat anything at the time of experiments. Here, sorry, oops means here. Oops means if any breakage occurs, means you have to tell to your teacher or lab in charge carefully. So at the time of doing experiment with the test tubes or flasks or beakers, if any breakage occurs, means you have to tell to your class teacher, you have to tell to your science teacher, or you have to tell to your lab in charge in a proper way, that is oops. Egg means do not eat or drink anything while doing experiments in science lab. If any food item eaten, means at that time the chemicals may enter into our body, which leads to death. So protect yourself from shocks. Sometimes we will do experiments with electric appliances. So be careful with electrical appliances. So at the time of doing experiment with electrical instruments, electrical appliances, you have to protect yourself from electrical appliances. Last one is keep it clean. After completion of your experiment in science lab, keep the working area clean, and you have to leave the lab, and you have to go to the classroom or house. So these are the 7 precautions should be taken to protect yourself in a science lab while doing experiments. Again I repeat, very important in the exam point of view. What are the 7 steps involved in science, safety in science while doing experiments in science lab? First one is think ahead. If you want to do any experiment, any activity, you have to observe what you have to do in science lab. Next one is be neat. Keep your working area clean and neat. If boys have long sleeves, roll it. If girls have long hair, means pull it back. And oops, if any breakage occurs, means you have to tell to your science teacher or lab in charge in a proper way, in a correct way. Watch your eyes. So while doing experiment with chemical, the chemicals may enter into your eyes, may cause blindness. On that time you have to use before doing experiments with chemicals, you have to wear safety goggles or spectacles to protect yourself, your eyes from chemicals. Yeah, do not eat or drink anything while doing experiments in science lab. Why? Because the chemical may enter into our body and leads to death of person. That's why you have to, you does not eat or drink anything at the time of doing experiments. Protect yourself from shocks. If you will do experiment with electrical appliances, be careful with electrical appliances. Keep it clean. After completion of your work, keep your working area clean, and you have to leave the science lab. So these are the safety precautions should be taken while doing experiments in a science lab. So this is about safety in science. In the next class, I revise what is science lesson once again, and we'll start second lesson, cell basic unit of life. Thank you, children.